Welcome to the 4321 Woodworking Shop. Tonight I'm going to tell you a bunch of tips on how to make making planters such as these more efficient so that you can make more money doing it. Let's roll back a little bit here tonight and get started. So the first item I would suggest when building planters is an apron. So I'm not an apron guy all the time, but I do wear this one when I'm doing this project. Namely because it keeps my pencil nearby, tape measure, my dust collection and shop vac I can turn on and off with the remote. I do use this quite a bit on some of my bigger planters for centering up a board. I'll show you in a bit. And I don't have it in here right now, but an angle cutter, so if a brad nail goes sideways I can clip it. So just to stay organized and quick, also somewhere to wipe that excess glue, and I even keep a rag for wiping glue, and yes, a bunch of sawdust. So the second thing I would say is have a list. You can see this is my list from last time I made planters. That one's done. Here's my list from this time making planters for tonight. Just helps me keep organized, helps me pick out what I need to do, and helps me batch them. As I'll show you here on the computer, it's pretty straightforward. I just keep a track of what sizes I need, and then I know how many boards each one is roughly. And at the bottom I also keep track of how many boards I have on hand and the total I need to get in case I need to make a shopping trip. So, and then I just cross them off as I go. I don't keep them in the spreadsheet. After that I take them off next time I'm on the computer and go from there. My next tip is on materials. Get as much as you need and get it here. If you have extra resources and can store it, maybe have some extra on hand. I don't, so I go buy for as many planters as I'm building, but I try to minimize my trips. Get a bunch of orders, go get them, make them, so forth. So get them all set up, get them all in the shop, ready to go. Also, on cutting them, this size I'm going to save and set here because I'm going to use it for a next step. Even some of these, I know I have 11 inches here, and my smallest planter has an 11-inch side. I'll keep it, but if it was any shorter than this, just by an inch even, I'm tossing it. I used to use like a cut sheet calculator or cut online to maximize boards. I don't anymore. I basically set my stop block, cut, however many I need, keep moving through boards. If a piece comes out that I know could be used later for something, I set it to the side. But the idea is to move as fast as possible. In this case, I feel time is money, and I don't worry about maximizing a $4 board. So my next tip has to do with how you cut your boards to final length. So as you can see, I have the miter station here with a stop block, and that's my suggestion is repeat as many cuts as you can possible and batch out as much as you can. So in my case, a lot of times I'll set this stop block to what I need and boom, 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 cut from multiple planters at once and minimize moving the stop block. Then I'll move it to the next spot, boom, batch all that out. So I might have 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of planters, boards stacked up around here before I get to assembling. So just a tip there. Before I had the stop block, which has made life way easier, the Shop Nation stop block with the built-in miter station, I used a radial arm saw, and I even just had a 2x4. On the bench I had lines drawn where this was 12 inches, this was 11 inches, this was 9 inches, this was 13, depending. I had certain sizes that I always used. And I would just take that 2x4, which had a plywood front, and I would line it up with that pencil line and drill it right into the bench. And basically, after the first time I drilled it, the holes lined up, and I could just put it back, undrill it, and move it. This is way faster. If you can go to this setup, I would. But again, batch them out. Keep moving that board cut, board cut, board cut. Stack them up. When you get to too small of a piece, toss it. So just to recap that batch cutting, I'm going to go ahead and cut the legs next, and then we'll move on to the next steps. I'll show you some other stuff. But you will notice on the 11 inches, I cut 4. 12 inches, I cut 4. 11 inches, I cut 4 plus 1. That plus 1 is for the top rails. So this is going to go to the table saw and get ripped down. But why not cut it now when I've already got it set? Because now it's the exact width it needs to be. It matches the sidewalls. The other sidewalls I don't cut now because I measure and make sure they're precise just for that little finishing touch. I could assume they'd be a certain size, but I want it to be exact, so I do take that little bit of extra time there. That's a quality thing for me personally. So I'm going to go ahead and get the legs cut, and then I'll show you what we do next, my next tip. So with the table saw here, I have a couple tricks, because we're going to rip them down. So for our legs, on this specific planter, I need a 2.5-inch side and a 2-inch. So that's obviously 2 different settings. Last year I made these blocks, put that in there, move the fence up, set it, be done. There's my 2-inch. This year, I came up with a little bit different setup that allows me to go back and forth easier. I've got a clamp over here at 2.5 inches wide, and I've got a board clamped here so that I can still move wood on, but I basically move it over, clamp it. We're at 2 inches. We're at 2.5. So I can go back and forth like that. I also try to do all of so the legs require 2.5 and 2. So it's 2 rips, but I do all the 2.5s. The top rails are also 2 inches. So on a night, I will do all the 2.5s for the legs, and then go ahead and do the 2 inches for the other piece of the legs, leave it set at that, do my rails for my sides, and then do my last rails that's already set up. So my other trick is the 2 stop blocks. As you can see, I've got one set that just goes flat on a board and goes through the saw. And then when we move and do the thinner part, the other one is set to lay flat with the left-hand side down to keep it on there. So at this point, we're getting to just about the glue up point now. We want to make sure we have everything set here and ready to go. So we got nails, oil, and air. So our gun is ready to go there, nail gun. Got our planter. I tend to assemble one at a time for the most part because it's nailing and gluing. It doesn't matter if I'm trying to, if I glue all the legs together, all the sides, doesn't matter. This station over here is set up for when I do my big planters. They take up the whole bench, but I still get a table, get a TV tray, get something, keep your stuff close by. But in this case, it's here. I'm going to move it over to the table for this batch because they're smaller and I can do it. I have room here. Glue, or glue bot, whatever. Our brush with our silicone tray, some rags to wipe some glue. We don't need the drills on this one. There's the angle cutters I was looking for earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and move my brad nails down here. You can also see I've got the backup of glue out because this is the season. Screws for my bigger ones. And then another trick I've got is these clamps. So for doing the legs, again, it's do as many as possible. So we're going to go ahead and clamp these together quick. Go ahead and spread my glue, makes a bigger surface area. I don't have to be as precise. Take my brush, and now I have glue on all 4, evenly spread. Unclamp them against the side. And then another trick I use. On these ones, they're small enough. If I move a couple things over here, there's 4 of them. Take the time and line them up. Picking up our nailer once. If they're longer ones, I'll do 2 at a time. See how I'm just repeating the same step as many times as possible? 4 done. Another trick I've come up with for glue ups is this here. This is exactly the width of 3 of these boards. So my big planters, where I can't lay out the boards because they're 5, 4, 6 feet long, I'll take my legs, put them like this, put that on there and glue them. On this case, I also have a line marked for 2. I can see 2 there. And this isn't on how to build them by any means. I'm just showing you some, some simple jigs you can make or story sticks to help you make this a production run go that much faster. And now we just nail them. And repeat. So just the quick tips I had over here. Get everything set up ahead of time. Once, set up, once, take down the cleanup. Use some story sticks, and again, we're back. So that concludes my tips, but there was one more I told you I'd give you later, and that was why I carry this in my apron. And it's basically, it's half this, was set, I've changed it, to half the size of one of these boards, so I could quickly mark the center, because I use this on my big planters on the inside as a support. So I basically use this as, set it, forget it, and always have it marked and available. So if you want to see how I made this set of planters, go ahead and click the video over here. If you want to see how I make the 6-foot raised garden bed, go ahead and click this video here. They're a little bit older, but they do show step by step how to make these. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and come along for the journey on building more projects like these, as well as more tips, tricks, and tools reviews. Thank you, and have a good night.